Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Marie Claire, and today we will be talking about something interesting. We are going to be talking about Adekunle Gold. Yes, you heard me right. Adekunle Gold. So recently, Adekunle Gold declared on his social media platform that he was born with sickle cell disease. I know. Can you believe it? Yes, he was born with sickle cell disease. He's been living with sickle cell disease throughout his life. He shared with us on his platform his experiences growing up with the condition and how he has been dealing with it throughout his life. As someone living with the disease, I relate to this. So, who is Adekunle Gold? For those who don't know, well, I'm sure most of you already know, Adekunle Gold is an Afrobeats artist of Nigerian origin. He is a singer, a songwriter, he's a husband, and a father who came into prominence in 2015 when he released one of his biggest hits called Shade. So he has so many other popular musics like Pretty Girl and you name it. Yeah, so he is an Afrobeat artist. I mean, for some of us growing up in the 80s, in the 90s, we grew up listening to, Western music, to R&B and things like that. But since Afrobeat was born, some of us felt like we have identified ourselves. We have seen our identity and we are sticking to it. And for someone like you to come out and tell us your challenge living with sickle cell disease, I respect you and thank you. So, first of all, I will start off by talking about some of the things that he mentioned in his post. So, Adekunle Gold said to us that he begged God to take his life away. He begged God to end his life. As someone living with the condition and having grown up in Africa, in Cameroon, I totally understand you, bro. I totally understand your frustration. Living with sickle cell can be, I mean, life and death, as you mentioned. It was so frustrating that you feel like God should end your life. I remember so many times asking God to take away my life because the pain was too much and I just couldn't go ahead with it. But you know what? I'm glad He didn't. I'm so glad God did not listen to your cry because you have been a blessing to so many of us, to so many people through your talent, music. You have no idea, absolutely no idea, how many lives you have touched through your music. How many young people are looking up to you. How many people you inspire. So, you know what? I'm glad God did not listen to your cry because you are so significant to our generation, to the young people looking up to you. Sickle cell will not beat you. It hasn't beat you and it will not beat you. You also mentioned that sickle cell disease was emotional, mentally draining, it was physical, it was financial. I mean, living with sickle cell as a child and as an adult, it has all these things. Imagine growing up as a child and always sick. You do not even have the opportunity to live a normal life as a child. I remember so many times I'm not even able to go out and play with my friends. And I used to love to play so much. But sickle cell would not let me be a normal child. No, he wouldn't. It's either I have been so sick that I'm not able to go outside, or I have been so sick and gotten well and not even having the strength to go and play as a normal child. Do you know what that does to a child's mentality? As an adult, I remember all the challenges I faced throughout my working life. I would attend so many job interviews, and some of them I get, some of them I don't. And for the ones that I get, I sometimes struggle to do them because of my sickle cell challenge. And some of the employers don't even want to understand, or don't even have the time to want to learn how to support people like us living with sickle cell and making the workplace a bit more comfortable for people like myself. So that alone has a massive financial impact on our lives. Because as much as we love doing the things that we do, sickle cell disease always comes in the way. And you find yourself living out of money because you're not able to do the job that you love. So I understand you. Mentally, it is draining. You are either always in hospital, you're not able to make friends, you're not able to keep friends because you're never there. You're always in hospital, you're always sick, you're always stepping back. And some people find that frustrating. So I get you. You also talked about no one understands. Oh, yes, no one understands. And I relate to that. Growing up with sickle cell disease, very, very few people understand. And during the time I grew up in Cameroon, in Africa, I had all sorts of things thrown at me. No one understood why I was born with sickle cell disease. And I had people telling my mother, my parents, that I wasn't going to live up till a certain age because they don't understand. They didn't understand. They will call you all sorts of names. I had been called Obanje because they didn't understand why I was always sick, and my mother was being told all sorts of ridiculous things. But my family stuck together and stuck with me. They didn't understand, but my family understood. So I understand you, bro. I understand you. You have friends that struggle to understand your situation and the kind of person you are. But I'm glad that you accepted yourself for who you are. You are such an inspiration. Thank you. You also mentioned living with so many restrictions. Oh, yes. Ah, yes. I know. I mean, you see, growing up with sickle cell, we are being told you can't do this, you have to stop doing that, or this will make you sick, and all those things. And you know, those things get stuck in your mind. I mean, I remember growing up knowing that I can't do any form of physical activity. I can't do this, I can't do that, or this is going to make my situation worse. And you know what that feels like amongst your peers? It's horrible. I mean, growing up in boarding school, I was being told that, I am being, set aside because this activity is not for me. And I felt really bad. I felt really lonely. I wanted to be with my friends, no matter how much I explain, no, end of story. Most of the time, my parents had already given the instructions that she cannot be, allowed to do this and do that. And of course, they didn't understand. But then again, I wanted to be part of all these things. I wanted to be part of all my peers. But because of my situation with sickle cell, I couldn't. I had so many restrictions. So I had to find a way to do the things that suit me and my situation. It was difficult. It was difficult. So I understand you. living with so many restrictions. Oh, the next thing you talk about were the nights. The nights were painful and lonely. For some reason, sickle cell disease always comes, sickle cell crisis, I should say. We're living with the disease, of course. Sickle cell crisis always comes in the night. And for the life of me, I have no idea. Every time you sleep and have that peaceful moment, that is when sickle cell crisis hits. And you know what it feels like having to wake everybody up at night in excruciating pain. Most of the time, I just felt so frustrated that I had to wake up my family because the pain was so much so that, I mean, they had to wake up. I was suffering and nobody could sleep with me in so much pain. You went on talking about how your nights were very painful and lonely. I understand you. You see, for some reason, guys, I don't understand why sickle cell crisis always comes in the night. For the life of me, I have never understood why. You see, at night time, everyone else is sleeping and having a restful night. And out of the blue, you wake up in excruciating pain. You wake up with sickle cell pain so bad, so much so that no one else can sleep at home. And you feel so guilty. You feel so bad for waking everybody else up. But there's nothing you can do about it because you are in so much pain. You're in so much pain. I mean, I remember, like you said, sometimes you have to live with this pain up until the morning time because it's very difficult to get transport. I remember quite a few times I have had to endure this pain for so long because my family was trying to get transport to the hospital. We would do all sorts of things to manage the pain while we wait for the morning, maybe. It was a horrible thing. It left you with a horrible feeling, and you ask yourself that, why me? God, just take my life and make this all end. It was horrible. Thank you for sharing. I mean, living with sickle cell disease, as you said, is very far from living a normal life. You can't do things like normal people do. You're always in pain in one way or the other. But as much as you begged God to take away your life, Adekunle, I'm glad He didn't. You see, living with sickle cell disease is far from living a normal life. It's very far from living a normal life because you're either in always so much pain in one way or the other. You can't do the things that normal people do because you're either scared of bringing up a crisis or you are in a crisis. So you're always living on the edge of being careful not to get into a crisis because once you get into a crisis, everything else shuts down. And you begged God to take away your life and end it all. And I have done so many times. And you know what? I am so glad that God did not listen to us. God did not listen to you. You see, I had a brother who had sickle cell disease. His name was Moise, and he died at the age of 32. Moise was having the worst sickle cell crisis you can ever think of, the worst crisis I had ever seen. And he was so fed up that he begged God to take away his life because he couldn't live it anymore in so much pain. And I don't know if God listened or it just happened that he couldn't take it anymore. But you know what? For some reason, I think God listened to him. He had so much talent. He was an IT guru. He was a Cisco professional that at that time, IT was not what it is today. He had so much impact in the lives of so many people in his very short life here on earth. And I ask myself every day that God, why did you take away his life? But because he was in so much pain and he couldn't take that pain anymore. And I said, but why spare me? I have said those things so many times, and God did not take away my life. And God did not take away your life, Adekunle. Because you know what? We have so much to give. God did not take away the lives of all those wonderful people living with sickle cell across the world, especially in Africa, where the care for sickle cell disease is so limited. God is not taking away our lives yet because we have so much to give. You have so much to give through your music. You are inspiring so many people throughout your music. So many young children, so many young boys and girls who think that their life is over because of sickle cell. You have given them hope. I remember you saying you went 5 weeks performing back and forth and you had no crisis. Yes, this is because you had accepted that you know what, this sickle cell crisis will not beat me. I have sickle cell disease, but sickle cell disease do not have me. God spared my life because I have so much to give in my community. You see, I run an organization that support people that live with sickle cell disease in my community. And I'm so thankful that God did not listen to me when I begged him to take away my life. Because the people that I support, the work that I do in my community is priceless. I have no idea what those people would do without me. I run an organization called Plasma of Hope where I am giving so much back to my community, to the people that need me. So, you know what? I will never ask God again to take my life away. Because, yes, I was born with sickle cell, but sickle cell doesn't have me. I will continue to live my best life. Imagine what would have happened if God had taken away your life. You would not have met that beautiful wife of yours who is blessing us as well with so much talent through her music. Thank you for meeting such a wonderful woman called Simi and having that wonderful, beautiful daughter called Adejare. God will not have blessed you with so much that you have as a family. Thank you very much, Adekunle, for taking the courage to do this. You have shed profoundly the light on sickle cell disease through your status. And I really hope that other celebrities will take upon themselves to shed the light on sickle cell, to, talk about the stigma that is attached to sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is a genetic blood disorder. You're born with it. It is not a life and death sentence. It can be managed and you can go on to live a normal life as much as possible. You can be whatever you want to be. We are living our best life, and so can you. You have to accept the fact that you have sickle cell, but sickle cell doesn't have you. We will continue to shed the light on sickle cell disease. And I will do this for the rest of my life until I can inspire somebody. So, Adekunle, I hope that someday you will come to my channel and we will have a talk, we will have a chat about living with sickle cell disease, about some of the challenges we have faced, our experiences. I hope that with our experience, our lived experience, we can help those who are looking up to us. So there is a seat waiting for you for us to have a chat. And thank you for sharing your story. God bless.